So dudes, we finally did it. We finally reached peak outrage from Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six Siege added the Paragon Valkyrie Masterpiece skin. This is the new skin category that's somewhere above the tier of elite skins, like the retro skins we have for a lot of operators now, like the Doc World War I skin, or the Fuse World War II skin. It's obviously not tactical LARP. This is a high fantasy sort of thing. It's reminiscent of Destiny or Warframe. The MPX has a whole slew of unique animations, both for reload and inspect. Valkyrie herself moves around in the player card. It's a very involved skin. It has very high production quality, I guess, as far as skins are concerned. And it's very expensive. And I don't know if the cheater war, the Operation No Content fiasco, or even the whole recolored skins thing is comparable to this. A lot of people are really mad. I'll talk about the art style argument later, but before I do that, I want to talk about the monetization and what this means as a business practice for Siege as a free-to-play game. Now, proportionally, this skin is $38 US. That's 5,000 Rainbow Six credits. However, as we all know for games like this, you don't buy the skin directly with cash, you buy it with packs of converting currency. So to obtain the skin, you would spend $25 on one currency pack, $10 on another, and finally $5 adding up to $40. So it's a $40 skin bundle in effect. This is the most expensive bundle Ubisoft has ever added to the game. And, you know, I could say, if you don't like it, just don't buy it. But I've slowly realized that this logic has some flaws. I understand why people pivot to that argument because I used that argument all the time. For years and years, in every live service first-person shooter game, pretty much ever, I've been perfectly content with my humble default Dan skins. I really don't give a crap. I can't see it when I'm playing the game unless it's the gun skin. I could really give a crap less about skins in video games. If the game is primarily a multiplayer shooter, especially with a competitive slant, I just don't care. I'll buy a skin from time to time if I think it looks tough. I've opened many an alpha pack in my day, but as far as the actual money I've invested into buying skins in Rainbow Six Siege over the course of 10 years, it hasn't been as much as the season passes that I've bought. I'd guess I've spent about $600 on Rainbow Six Siege total. A good chunk of that are the season passes that I use to make content for the game, so I treat that as a business expense. That's about $300 over the course of a long period of time if you just count the business pass adjacent kind of things. I've never bought the Rainbow Six membership. When Overwatch 2 came out and people were upset about the skins thing, I was like, okay, whatever, it's just a skin. The game's free to play. I ignored the monetization model evident in the previous $40 release of Overwatch, so I ate crow on that one. In Halo Infinite, again, I was like, it's a free-to-play game, who cares? I remember when you had like 8 helmets total in Halo 3. I ate crow on that one too, because Reach had a robust armor customization system, and making a truly unique Spartan is a huge selling point of the Halo games. I get it. I get why people get upset about this stuff. This is a pain point for gamers from a consumer-business relationship. However, there's also a large portion of people who don't care like me. And I'm not saying that to say I'm so cool and awesome. As you can see in a poll I ran with my audience, nobody is in love with Siege's monetization system. Who is for really any game? The opinions range on average on a spectrum from it's bad to I don't care. So my I don't care opinion isn't exactly going to absolve Ubisoft of their skin sins. Unfortunately, there is an air of plausible deniability a lot of people take advantage of here too, which doesn't help the conversation, where they will complain about a game's monetization policies and then continue to participate in that game's monetization policies. A lot of people choose to opt out of this conversation entirely more than anything, and I think that's evident in the poll that I ran. If you're a grown adult with a 9-to-5 job with a limited amount of time to play video games here and there, skins probably just don't mean as much to you as a 17-year-old on summer break buying new gun colors. I've covered Siege for a living for many years, and even then, I still never really got the appeal of some of these skins. I think gun skins, when they fall into a certain kind of thematic language, are cool and interesting. One of my favorite AK-12 skins is this Guerrilla skin that's obviously hearkening to visual elements in tropical countries in Latin America or the Caribbean. That's cool. The Valkyrie Masterpiece skin is like, okay, alright. Like, yeah, the inspect is cool, it's a sword, but how often am I going to be doing this? And people will use these elements to say, well, this is the reason the skin is $40. I get that. I understand that making an animation and a model takes time, it takes labor. But I'm just not the target audience for this kind of stuff. The moment I realized Valorant a child game, and that I was kind of out of my element, was the prolific nature of the whole, let me use your skin, drop your skin, in the beginning of matches where people will oftentimes beg you to use your Vandal skin before the round starts. Before the round starts, I'm thinking of the strat, I'm thinking of where to place my utility, I'm not thinking of dropping a gun and going back into the buy menu to buy another gun. Now, Counter-Strike has managed to kind of cement itself in some respects as the best video game ever made, even though I haven't played it in a year, because I never see these arguments in Counter-Strike. I see the slightly legally nebulous gambling, and I kind of go, yep, that's an internetism, yep. And the game just keeps adding dope-ass skins and player models that look like shoot-bang dudes. Thus far, Counter-Strike has not added anybody from Destiny. And that kind of brings me to what I think is the silently agreed upon crux of the problem here, and that is Rainbow Six's vibe and art style. People are convinced that this game is Call of Duty because it has flashy skins. There are people who think that this game is not a tactical shooter because you don't drink out of a water canteen. For the past couple of years, Rainbow Six has been fighting a vibes war over its art style. It got so bad that we added a rootin' tootin' shoot bang villain with a southern accent who ices the guy most responsible for the vibe shift with a 44. Every other week, there is a post going viral on the Rainbow Six subreddit about how the game was ruined when they added Pickle Rick or Pizza Mozzie. I don't think that fixating on Pizza Mozzie is fair. I think that there is strong evidence that Ubisoft has made a good faith effort to return the game to an action movie, military drama kind of vibe. I don't think that any of the games we played growing up were nearly as tactical as Gen Xers and some millennials right now seem to remember. I think everything felt a lot more adult-like when you were a child. I don't know what to say to somebody who genuinely thinks Pizza Mozzie ruined Rainbow Six Siege. I can understand walking away from the game because you looked at the goofy art and said, yeah, that's not for me. And then you went off into the Insurgency Sandstorm sunset and never looked back. Kudos to you. But there's also like a 50% portion of those people who regularly go on the Rainbow Six subreddit and complain about the goofy skins every week to farm karma. Then people reply going, what the fuck are you doing here if you're that upset about it? Then the person who made the post, or people who agree with the post, play this game of, I totally don't play the game every day deniability, and they get to have their Rainbow Six Siege and eat it too. It's a wacky time to be a gamer. Every opinion is wrong or stupid or even evil if it doesn't immediately join in on whatever the Updoot army is upset about today at 1:59 Eastern Standard Time. The thing is, if Rainbow Six did start adding things like tracer effects, flashy death animations with crazy colors, if Siege really did pull a Call of Duty, I'd probably stop playing. Because there is a cutoff point for me. Siege hasn't hit my cutoff point, but I do know for a fact that it has hit other people's cutoff points. There are people who do not care that Ram or Grim or other tactical skins like the Ace Elite are in the game. The existence of Pizza Mozzie is an inherent signal of the kinds of ground Ubisoft is okay with treading in terms of the game's art style. And to them, the presence of any of it is bad, period. There can be no exceptions. The game is cooked. Ubisoft bad, Siege bad. I don't know how to navigate this opinion war. I'm not a Jinxie console kid YouTuber. I understand that. Those audiences don't give a shit about any of this. They look at the skin and go, wow, that looks cool. And they buy it, and then, you know, they still get tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of views. This is a Siege channel. If I don't make Siege content, the video isn't going to do well. But I don't want to make a living off of complaining about Siege just because a lot of Siege players or people who stop playing Siege in my age bracket are upset. Regardless, I'm going to have my cake and eat it too. I'm going to acknowledge that skins like the Paragon Elite aren't ruining the game for me. I don't personally see it and go, wow, it's over. But I'm also not completely out of touch and tone deaf to the point where I look at how badly Ubisoft has gotten ratioed on this point and say, yeah, there's nothing wrong with this. You should just not respond to this. I'm no longer in this phase of online marketing where I say, oh, just ignore all negative feedback because there's another audience over there. Sometimes that other audience never shows up. In the gaming space, it's clear and obvious that there is often more overlap. There's more Venn diagrams aligning with some of these points than people think. I know a lot of people that still enjoy playing the game every day who are not a fan of the Paragon Elite. Just because they aren't upset about it enough to stop playing does not mean they're not allowed to have that opinion. And that is an appropriate usage of the Boris comic. Yet you continue to play Rainbow Six. Yeah, because I enjoy the game. I think it's really cool. I think it's the best tactical shooter on the market. That's kind of like a lot of things. Some days you go to the pool and it's really quiet, and then other days you go to the pool and it's like 5 million kids screaming. I'm not going to abandon my pool day because of that. I think there are some healthy suggestions to make for Ubisoft here. The first one being, do some more tactical stuff. I know this is a broken record from me, but this is kind of the stuff that wins the vibe war for Rainbow Six fans. And you have evidence of this working with the characters you've added recently, like Solus, Ram, etc. There's lots of opportunities for you to do so. Lean into the license a little bit. If there's an opportunity to lift from a previously existing Tom Clancy IP, do it. Add a kind of out there Ghost Recon Future Soldier skin that has some elements of science fiction mixed with some old-fashioned Tom Clancy-isms. Add like a little GPS analog doohickey on the side of the gun for the operator to do the weapon inspect with. Make the skin try to fit into the base Siege artistic universe the best you can. We've crossed the Rubicon a long time ago with Pizza Mozzie, but I don't think it's too late. The second thing being, consider adding an on-off switch for default client and server-side differentiation between skins and non-skinned player models. I think this would be a godsend for competitive players, so they don't have to keep unequipping and re-equipping all of their skins when they play competitive, but it would also just make everybody happier, right? If they want to play the game in an environment where they show off and make themselves stand out, they can continue doing so. But if they want to keep it simple, they can do that as well. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. This is probably how I would personally play the game most of the time. My skins tend to be tactical LARP stuff like this Nomad outfit. I like a good little bit of tactical art, you know? People like it. It goes hard. If you're a millennial who doesn't really buy a lot of these flashy skins, the problem is that you're outnumbered by 17-year-olds who want the flashy skins. And so every time a skin like the Paragon Elite is added, it incentivizes moving of the goalposts. It doesn't guarantee it, but doesn't exactly eliminate the possibility of it. Slowly but surely, companies will often raise prices of everything in the game and make all the stuff that was typically affordable into something that's a boring grind. And it may not affect the gameplay, but it is the principle of it that irritates people. It's kind of like watching inflation creep into your hobbies, instead of just at the movie theater when popcorn, candy, and a drink cost $25. It makes the consumer feel like an afterthought. There are other angles of this skin that don't just have to do with the pricing. The pricing is certainly a lot, and if I were to be honest with you, I have absolutely no idea how to convert the price of the skin to wages at Ubisoft for the art team or whatever. I know that there are people who are going to say, well, you know, Ubisoft's going to pocket all of that sale, so, like, who cares about the wages and this and that? Well, people still work at Ubisoft and they still get paid wages, so I don't know what you want. The revolution isn't coming. I can't see Ubisoft's financial sheet, but Ubisoft's public reputation, along with pretty much every single AAA game developer in the world right now, is not exactly great, because there is a general distrust of any company that is big right now, period. And gaming is not removed from that. I'm not saying that Ubisoft has to capitulate to the whims of the outraged Reddit mob, but I would encourage them to look at this with a measured approach. Understand that while stuff like the Paragon Elite isn't for everybody, there are opportunities for you to make something that everyone can enjoy without singling out a large portion of the audience. I also think that there needs to be a conversation about the sheer amount of stuff Rainbow Six Siege has added in terms of monetization models. Apparently in Siege X, they slowed down the rate of renown gain too, which, like, it's a free-to-play game, but apparently even this iteration is considerably strong. I haven't noticed that yet, but if it's a little too freaking high, maybe just dial it back a little bit. You can't go right into the free-to-play model and then start releasing your most involved monetization practices without people looking at it and getting irritated. If you thought that wasn't going to happen, I don't know what to say to you. Anybody who was at Ubisoft, who was at the Manchester Major and saw the crowd's reaction to the Rainbow Six membership, needs to take stock of that. I don't know if I trust people to not move the goalposts later. That's what people are afraid of. It has less to do with the current day and more to do with what Ubisoft could do later. All I can say is, Ubisoft, don't be evil, please. Anyway, let me know what you think of the Paragon Elite in the comments. I read and respond to every single comment on newly uploaded videos within the first hour of its upload. I'll see you all in the next video. Deuces.